Now, web developers require a range of tools to create web pages. Now, the first most important application you need is a text editor or an integrated development environment. Now, there are hundreds to choose from and many are free or open source, and you'll find links within the working files folder. In these tutorials, I'll be using Notepad++. It's a free and fast but very customizable editor for Windows, and it's available at notepad-plus-plus.org. But it really doesn't matter whether you're using Visual Studio, TextMate on a Mac or Eclipse on Linux. Use whatever you're comfortable with, since you'll be spending many hours using it. However, I will suggest a few tips. Make sure it's fast. There's nothing more frustrating than a slow editor. You'll also need to open multiple files at a time, so tabs or a multiple document interface is essential. Now, it needs to support multiple languages. Definitely HTML, CSS, and of course JavaScript. Line numbering is absolutely essential. That's especially when you're looking for errors at a particular location. Color coding can also save hours of time because it highlights when you haven't closed a quote or a bracket. If I remove a quote here, you can see the rest of the file looks a little bit odd now. Autocomplete is also very useful. For example, if I start writing a paragraph tag, you see the editor automatically closes it for me, because I will need that. And finally, session store and restore is useful. So when I close my editor and restart it again, I want it to go back into the state that I left it in. Now, you'll also need a graphic editor. Now, strictly speaking, you won't require one for this course, but certainly if you've got one that can open and save PNG and JPEG images, that's great. Now, when it comes to creating files, you can load them directly from the file system into your browsers, so I can simply drag my file.html into my web browser and it opens. Now, this is fine, but you will run into a number of problems. First, some browsers will show JavaScript security warnings, and you'll have to click a button or agree to some terms and conditions before it'll allow you to run. Also, running from the file system means that you can't use techniques such as Ajax, which require a web server. So, having a web server is really important, and you can actually install one on your local system. Now, that's beyond the scope of this course, but there are several options. If you're using Windows, you can install IIS, or Internet Information Server. You can do this from the control panel in the Programs and Features. If you click Turn Windows Features on or off, you'll see Internet Information Services appear in the list. You can also find more information at iis.net. Alternatively, you can install a server such as Apache. This is available on most platforms, and it's a good option if you intend to write code such as PHP. Now, Apache comes as standard on macOS and is also available in most Linux distributions, but there are editions that are available for Windows. Perhaps an easier option, though, is something like XAMPP. That's available for apachefriends.org, and you can download a package which contains PHP, MySQL, and various other applications in a simple, easy-to-use installer. Now, effectively, all these servers allow you to open your files as if they were on the internet. So here we go. This is our page, and it's pointing at localhost in a folder of test, and it's myfile.html. So the solution is a lot simpler, the file paths become easier to manage, and it prevents the security notices you may see when using files from the file system. So have a play around, get a web server installed if you can, but otherwise, make sure you've got an editor that you're happy with.